Sustaining Creativity podcast. I'm your host, Mari Riesberg. Over the past several years, I've combined my degrees in acting and somatic psychology to share my sustaining creativity techniques with performers. And now I've decided to share with a bigger audience that includes you. I believe we are all creative, and this podcast is all about that. I'll be interviewing people from all backgrounds, ages, and creativity experiences to share just how creative we all are. Today, I'll be chatting with David Van Beekum, co-founder and creator of Tweva. Please enjoy David Van Beekum. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity podcast. Today, I am chatting with David Van Beekum, co-founder and creator of Tweva. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's a great day and it's a great new year.
Absolutely. I'm super excited to have you here with me today to chat about creativity and to also let us know a little bit about what Tweva is. So before we get into the nitty-gritty creativity, why don't you take a couple of minutes and let our listeners know a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Oh, I love this part. I get to talk about Tweva and the project I've been working on. So Tweva is the world's first social TV network. So this is something that allows you to walk up to a TV, let's say in a small business, in a restaurant, in a barber shop, and you can finally add something to the TV. You know, TVs are like one way, you know, it's like pick a channel and somebody decides what we're going to watch. Right. And we really wanted to create a network that allows us, the community, content creators, to add something to the television. Could be maybe the parade had just went by on the 4th of July and I got a great shot. Or it could have been my kid just kicked a soccer goal. Something that I would want to share with the community. But then also it has weather and social media, like a few other digital signs out there. Mm-hmm. But the main differentiating piece is this interactive community element to it. So let's say your city, if it has a TV channel, great. If it doesn't, which you know most smaller cities don't, Tweva is a platform to allow that city to kind of broadcast their own TV channel.
Oh, fascinating. And so when did this start and how did you get into the TV community platform?
Well, that's a long story. It actually was started from an idea of another project. So we were working in the small businesses, in the restaurants industry, and we were working with other restaurateurs. And we were just sitting in the restaurant and I looked over and I think I said something like, "How dare Pizza Hut? How dare they advertise in your establishment? Ha ha ha." You know, you should have your own something playing with your pizza and your, you know, Italian food. And so it kind of stemmed from this conversation of, could we create something that allows you, the business owner, to go around and take pictures? Because today's different, right? Like when we were growing up, to get a photo or to get a high quality video, you'd have to call the camera crew in. You know, it was like big shoulder cam and some big lights, 1,000-watt halogens to get something good. But today it's a little bit different. You can whip out a 4K camera in your back pocket and shoot some pretty great content. Yeah. But I mean, we were sitting there going like, yeah, there's nothing there. In fact, there's franchises, there is car companies, and you got those pharmaceuticals in there too, right? You know? Yeah. You get headache, nausea, diarrhea, you know. You're sitting there going like, okay, well, where's the small businesses? Where's the little guys in town? So if we could create something, a device that goes behind the TV, maybe we could establish some form of communication with that specific TV and then give it a little bit of control. I mean, we're not producing 2-hour, you know, documentaries, right? It's little clips. So it kind of stemmed from that. And then it grew to more of a community-based, like let's let other people add content. But that opens up all these other can of worms like moderation. Yeah. You know, who controls what's on there? Do you put political? It's a lot of other things. So then you have to go down the community road and start
Right.
to build out the community piece of it. So it's been quite a journey.
It sounds like it, and I can only imagine the type of content people have been interested in sharing
Yes,
and
yeah.
the type of content that people have not been interested in sharing as well that may be really beneficial for a community. So I think that's
Yeah, it was
fantastic.
Yeah, it was funny. We were watching the TV. I put one in, a bar at my in my city, and I was there maybe to check on at 11 o'clock, 11:30, and the owner
Hmm.
was uploading before we had the app. They were uploading, you know, Charlie Brown Peanuts memes. I know,
Ah,
like of all the things that you could do, I'm like, really?
yeah.
You want that one? And so she, this is funny, this is cute. You got to watch this one. So she put it up there, and I just watched like 8 people sitting at the bar wait for it.
Oh,
And then when it
wow.
finally showed up on the TV screen, they all laughed together as a group. And I'm like, if I had to come up with that on my own, I don't think I've ever would have thought, like, let me design something for, an old
Right.
style, right? Like comic strip from a newspaper.
Yeah, but
But
that's
it
so
changes it.
it does. I mean, I think it makes me curious about the things that inspire other people or spark laughter or joy or creativity, and how the owners of businesses have this idea of how they want to come across to their clientele. But I'm curious for you in particular, what does it mean to you to be creative?
Well, I've always had a creativity side to me. It
Hmm.
started from access to technology at a very young age.
Mm.
My dad had video mixers from church and old camera equipment and audio boards. And very young, like 6, 7 years old, I had those put underneath my bunk bed. And I
Oh,
used to play with the wires, and I had an old reel to reel I could record on. And I just started playing with that. My mom had keyboards, MIDI keyboards, and she's a
yeah.
musician. So um, I didn't know it was creativity. I just thought it was playing, really. And I didn't
Yeah.
really think it was anything different. It's like, hey, you play with that, you play with a football, and I have this cool keyboard, and it's MIDI,
Mhm.
musical interface digital instrument, and I knew that at a young age, like, but having access to all those let my mind kind of just think, what is possible? And for me,
Mm.
that was always a piece of me of just thinking what could be possible with this in front of me. And if I have this, what about that?
Yeah.
And if that piece could connect, what about this piece? Um, so I guess it's a little bit in my DNA and a little bit of access to technology, but I've always thought about bigger things that we could build or create.
Yeah.
And then when the internet came into being, I didn't jump so quick though on the community aspect. I
Mhm.
always thought I could be, I could build something for
Mm.
other people. But the creativity piece has always played in whatever I worked on.
Mhm.
I think creative people have that brain, you
Yeah,
know, just
absolutely.
what could I do? What could I create?
Yeah, I'm curious, this idea of, being so young and having access to this technology and thinking about what could I do, what could I create? How did you keep that kind of curiosity spark alive into adulthood when so many people can lose that?
Hmm. I don't know. I don't know how I've always ran after it,
Mm.
with what could I do? Or I've looked for work, I guess maybe in those specific areas. So it was
Mhm.
always something that kept me up at night. Um, I didn't drink a lot of energy drinks. I hated coffee. It made me happy to just play with the technology and imagine and build. And it just kind of always have been like that. Now I guess I would say my wife supports me. That's what I probably have to say. So my wife and family, they've let me keep it alive just enough.
Right. Yeah, that idea of still playing with technology, when I think as adults to share, oh, I still play with technology versus I work with technology,
Yes,
has a
yes,
really different ring to it. And
it does. Yeah.
people have different interpretations of it. But it really sounds like with Tweva, people are allowed to play with the technology and the platform in a way. Is that kind of what you intended, that playfulness to come through?
Yeah, in the very beginning we figured, oh, this should be something professional, right?
Mm,
And compete with the TV screens. But it's morphed into there's so many more creators
mhm,
than, one TV show is for a million people, but there's a million people. There's got to be half of those that can get a good shot of a flower with dew on it, at the city hall, right? I mean,
yeah.
there's so much pieces of content that people can take now, and a lot of us are very creative. We've shifted now to let's make this something where we can share. Maybe we create an NFT and we want to share it with the community, or a
Mm,
picture, or a song. How to get your music out there.
mhm,
It is more of a what's happening in the community and who's
mhm,
here. But it
mm.
can be a mix of both. The business owner can say, "Hey, I don't want that kind of content." And maybe in a barber shop, you'd have quicker content because you're only there for 20 or 30 minutes.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. But I'm curious, that community aspect of it. Like, how do you tap into the community to find out what is needed or what is wanted for the content that you are putting on Tweva?
So that's the community itself, really. So
Yeah.
as the community grows, it will be moderated by somebody in the community,
Mm,
but it really is up to the community. Each location is going to state, I want my weather, and I might have some pictures of my restaurant or my services. But in
mhm,
between those pieces is where we rely on the community to do that. So
mhm,
it's actually a mix of two pieces. It's the community, but it's also influencers. So influencers have taken those two pieces and become some sort of success with it, right? Some
mhm.
people are getting paid for it. A lot of people are working on just building their following. And so we
Right.
figured, okay, if we can give a influencer access to 10 TVs, 20 TVs, instead of maybe going to, taking a picture of yourself, hey, I'm sitting here drinking a coffee, you could go
Mhm.
to that restaurant owner and say, hey, look, I've seen a couple of your pictures. You need a little bit of help. Uh, right. Look what I could do. And let me take a picture of this croissant and the coffee. See how the sun comes in this window,
Mhm.
not that one, not in the back. It's too shady and dark. Look at what
Mhm.
I can do here. And let's connect on some social media, right? And now it gives them a little bit of work and a little bit of relationship. And
Mm,
this could be, okay, that's one. But now
mhm.
for every one of those TVs, you have a doctor, a lawyer, a plumber, an electrician. Oh my goodness, there's 170 different categories of
Yeah.
businesses. So
Right.
it's about building that person in the community, right? Like
Okay.
that influencer in the community, and
Mhm.
then those other small businesses. Um,
Nice.
but it is more of a reliance on the individual,
Mhm.
to create and share something.
Yeah.
Maybe, you get bigger, will be Facebook one day, that size. Oh, we have to have human moderators to look through content. But yeah, it's not that way yet.
You're not there yet. That makes
Not there
sense.
yet. Yeah.
And in starting anything, and anything that has community and other people, I imagine you come across some challenges or hiccups along the way. What are some of maybe the more creative challenges that you faced, and how have you navigated them?
Creative challenges are, let's see. In the very beginning, we had to come up with a different name. So
Oh,
when
okay.
we when we first started, it was Zipco TV. We thought,
Oh.
this is great. It can be per zip code. Each one is different. And we eventually found, I think it was an expired trademark from 10 years ago. And the investor said, hey, it's not worth going to battle with somebody after we build our social media and we build out all these other things. Let's go come out with a new name. And so we searched for weeks, maybe months. And his big thing was, um, uh, he used to say, David, why don't you pick a name that has no meaning? No meaning, because people are curious like cat, and
Mm.
they are really want to wonder what it is. Like Uber, what is Uber? Somebody takes Uber. I took Uber to work. What's Uber? And so I go, okay, I get it. It's a new concept, right? I'm behind the scenes, but I'm creative. I can come up with we can come up with something. And so we started looking, oh, it's got to have a T in it, right? For TV. It's got to have a
Okay.
V in it for TV. The other, let's just find something. And going through this creativity exercise of finding some domain that's available and the name, no trademark, then every single social media account. Oh my word. Uh, that's a mess. That's a mess. I'm sure you've had to do this at some point, right?
Absolutely. For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we finally get something nailed down, and we got a trademark on it, and then we wrote a patent also for the
Mm.
uh, the whole system, which actually
Mhm.
we just got awarded like 2-3 weeks ago. So it was
Oh,
a really great,
congratulations.
thank you. It was a great Happy New Year / Christmas gift of, oh my goodness, I think we're 4 years in now.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was awesome. But creativity challenges, yeah, there's always something around the corner. It's a little bit of pivot this way, or, the whole influencers thing was another piece that we hit going, okay, we did our first 20-30 tests. What's the complaints?
Mm.
Well, I don't see enough content. Okay,
Mhm.
well, who's going to generate content for somebody in this city 1,000 miles away? We can't be
Right.
there, you know? So we had to kind of look to the industry and look into um, the way technology works. I mean, influencers weren't as big as they were 5 years ago, right?
Right.
But as technology grows and people use it differently, you kind of have to look at your business model and say, how can I either give people more work, right? Or
Mhm.
do some sort of an exchange to help them, and then
Yeah.
come up with all these creative ways to help. Really, we like to say we're for the locals, we help the locals, but it's really an exchange, right? They're
Yeah.
creating content, we're entertaining locals, same
Mhm.
time they're getting influence and followers from local places. um,
Mhm.
which is funny, actually. One of the places I put it in my city, I was talking to the lady there, and she goes, "Oh, I bet my daughter has 500,000 followers on Instagram." And I said, "What? What? How? Like, I didn't know this." And she goes, "Yeah, yeah. Something about somebody wanted to sponsor her and sent her $12,000 big, huge wooden doors,
Mm.
and wanted her to post a few times in exchange." And I'm going like, "Okay, that's awesome, but if I didn't follow this person and they were sitting right next to me in a coffee shop,
Mhm.
would you even know?" Right?
Definitely not. Yeah.
So this changes that, because if
Mm.
you're an influencer, if you're any type of personality with radio show or podcast personality, you
Mhm.
would be, hey, I got to add myself to that TV, right?
Yeah.
That would be like your first thing. I put $5 in my account. Yeah, I'll throw $1 on that TV. When I'm over here, I'll throw $1 on that TV, and start to build out your face, your
Mhm.
audience, what you do in that community. Even if you're going vacation, there's something down at the shore, the beach. You're gonna add it, right? It's cheap
Mhm.
enough, and that really gives that little niche of people now can see you. I mean, I've heard of
Mhm.
people working at the gym and they're working out to somebody with 7 million followers. Again, you wouldn't know.
Right.
This really changes that dynamic of the community and
Mhm.
followers, and allows you to be on TV, right? I mean, right now you can't, and this changes that. So it's really
Nice.
a neat thing, and just working on growing it.
Yeah, I mean, it really sounds like it's a passion of yours to connect people and help them have that exchange with local businesses, supporting each other and supporting influencers to expand their reach, just like then expanding the local
Yes.
businesses reach as well.
Yes, it's about creating a community expert is what we really coined the phrase.
Mm.
Because if you
Mhm.
think like a chiropractor or a
Mhm.
business person in a community, my town has 55,000 people in it. Not that big, not that small. But if everybody knew me for what I do, I would be way too busy, right?
Yeah.
In theory.
Sure. Yeah.
you know those local lawyers, and they have that ongoing TV ad, and it's like everybody knows what they do, and they
Hmm.
don't have a problem marketing. But that's
Right.
because they're the expert. I mean, you don't know them,
Mm.
you haven't shaken their hands, you haven't had coffee with them, but you'd give them $10,000 in case of emergency,
You can
right?
remember their phone number from
You can
whatever
remember their
jingle.
phone number.
Yeah.
Right, right. So, I mean, okay, that's millions of dollars in advertising. But if you were an electrician,
Yeah.
if you could become the community expert, you probably wouldn't have to drive too far, right?
Hmm.
But you do have that 4K cell phone in the back of your pocket, but where are you going to produce, where are you going to put it? I'll put
Right.
it on Facebook. Oh, well, you need followers for that, right?
Right.
So it becomes part of that. Where's the platform that I can create and share?
Hmm.
And we hope that for every small city, it could be that Tweva uh, platform that allows those businesses to connect,
Hmm.
and watch. Oh, how do you put a light switch in? Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. Okay, I can see that. I might never try it, right? But I know
Sure.
the guy that can, you know.
Right. Okay. That making connections. I love it. I think that's definitely, historically we had the phone book, the
Yes,
yellow
the
pages,
yellow pages.
the advertise. I know I'm dating myself.
Uh,
And now we have Tweva as
Hey, I
another.
advertised it in the very beginning in the yellow pages. So I was
I
like,
love
look at
it.
that. It's a printed ad. I'm only
Printed.
55 down, but okay,
Yeah,
I'm
oh,
there.
perfect. I love it. Well, when you think about kind of in your own life, who or what is inspiring you to do the things that you do today?
I think it's still that bug that I have, to get things. So my grandfather was a kind of a tinkerer. He kind of like
Hmm.
built stuff all the time. And my dad worked the same way. He was electrical contractor, but he loved to collect leftover parts of machines,
Mm.
and he liked to work with it too. I mean, he did a little bit more collecting with those.
Hmm.
My brother went into the physical side. I went into the digital side. But I still have that bug of creating. It's
Mm.
something fun I
Yeah.
love to do. My wife will sometimes complain, "You got that laptop on your lap again," you know, or I'm going to throw it out the window, and I'm like, "This is my sports." Uh, John broke his left arm, and he can't throw as many yards anymore. So I'll say that as a joke, you know,
Uh-huh.
or I'll say, Michael Jordan, let's see, slapped that slap shot into the goal for 3 points, and she says, "Shut up, shut up." But I just like creating. It's fun. Any other
Yeah.
programs that I can, I grew up with Photoshop and
Mm.
Premiere. And I just love doing it. So I'm not sure exactly where that creativity doesn't stem from a certain spot,
Hmm.
but maybe
Yeah.
a combination of mm, several podcasts and media, and then having access to those tools really is what I get that drive from.
Nice. Well, for people that may not feel they are creative or have that, what you're kind of referring to, that creative bug, that curiosity, how would you encourage others to find creativity in their life?
I would say you have to kind of turn off. I'm like, this is the way I usually do is I turn off whatever in my head is going on around me. And I think that's what people call focus, right? But it seems like it's automatic for me. I just like, okay, yeah, let me just see how this works. And I'll start playing with it. But if you don't think you're creative, I imagine everybody is in something that they're interested in. So
Yeah.
my wife loves walking outside, and then my firstborn usually walks with her. They love looking at the clouds. They will sit
Mm-hmm.
and say, "Do you want to watch the sunset tonight?" And they'll sit on the hill and watch the sunset and talk for 20 minutes. I
Mm.
think that is a creativity piece right
Mm-hmm.
there. They are experiencing something, they're enjoying
Yeah.
nature and the clouds, and it's something that you'll never see again. I just have a different type of creativity
Mm-hmm.
in that realm. But I think what you need to do is take that and then mix it a little bit. So if you want to
Mm.
go into, let's say, podcasting or graphical arts or programming, try to do a little bit of what you feel happy doing, and that's probably your creative spot. If it's going to a coffee shop and drinking coffee, take the computer with you and just spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes, either listening to a podcast. It may not always be good to jump in to something that you don't know. That's probably a little bit overwhelming.
Sure.
But find something that you can connect with, some voice that you like, or a face that you like, and watch a tutorial video. I teach my kids this. And then I'll tell them, whatever you do, it's V1, version 1.
Yeah.
Right. And so at a very young age, they used to like draw things on it. I didn't do that lion too well, Dad. And I'm like, that's version 1. What's version 1? Oh, it's just like a draft. What's a draft? Okay. So we went through this whole thing. And now, even when I cook a meal, I cook a recipe, I go, guys, it's just version 1. You're not going to probably like it. It's fine. And like, yeah, it's okay, Dad. By the 5th one, you'll get it. You know?
Oh, nice. I mean, that's so great that encouragement to practice and be a beginner, and that it's okay to actually have version 1. Like, it's important. You have to have version 1 before you can get to version 10.
Yes. It's like a flush, like everything comes out, right? And that's where you kind of pick out those pieces and say, okay, this is where kind of the direction I want to go. It's good. It's not that good. But it's actually good that it's not that good, because that means that there's room for improvement.
Yeah. Nice.
So, yeah, I would take those steps first. It's whatever you do first. It's version 1. That second time, version 1.1, 1.1, 1.12. You know,
I'm taking that.
World.
I'm taking version 1 from our conversation and going to use that with people. It's
It works
fantastic.
on everything.
Yeah.
Even muffins, banana muffins one time. It was like, yeah. I needed it because I forgot the bananas, and then version 2 I forgot the butter, and then version 3 I forgot the mix. So we're not going to go there. But version 4 I got all of the ingredients and it worked. So
perfect. I love it. You got to keep at it. Keep trying. That's fantastic.
Yes.
Well,
in that creativity world, you have to keep trying.
You absolutely. It's so true. You have to keep trying, revisiting, coming back to it. It's that creative process.
Did you ever think about like those paintings that are so beautiful? It's the reason is because of the thousands of hours it's been refined.
Right.
It's never version 1. It's never. Nothing ever looks, well, I won't say nothing, but like probably 99.9% of stuff doesn't look good version 1. You know, it's like hours and hours are poured into it, and you go, wow, that's amazing. Well, you're really attributing thousands of human hours to something that is so unique.
Yeah.
That it's amazing, you know?
Absolutely. But we all have to start at version 1.
That's right. That's right.
So
that's where we all learn.
Version 1. It's how we learn. Exactly. Well,
absolutely.
This has been such a treat to chat with you. I just have one last question. What does it feel like in your body to be creative?
That's probably my happiest spot, to be creative. If I'm creative, I'm not living in the present tense. I'm living, I think it might be I live in the future.
Okay.
So when I'm creating stuff, I go, what could it be? How would it work? And it's just fun to live in the future. And sometimes people say, yeah, that's not possible now. Or, you know, that would take too much to do this or to do that. But I'm not doing it on purpose, but I just kind of live in that optimistic future, what could be if everything lined in a row, and it's a happy spot. It's just it's a fun place to be. I hope everybody has those spots.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's fantastic. I hope you continue to produce from that space and get inspired from that. And if people want to learn more about Tweva and the other pieces that you have out in the world, how could they go about doing that?
So you can find us anywhere online with the name Tweva. We're the only ones there. So TWEVA.com, or you can find us on Facebook or any of the other major social medias. And if you have a question for me, you could just shoot an email to dave@tweva.com.
Perfect. I will put all of that in show notes so people have easy access. And thank you again for taking the time to chat with me about creativity and introducing me to Tweva.
No problem. Thanks for having me on the show. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
for listening to the Sustaining Creativity podcast. We'd love to keep in touch, so follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are at Sustaining Creativity. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tag your friends and family so they can listen too. We love to hear from you, so leave your reviews, comments, and questions. Check out our website, sustainingcreativity.com, for upcoming offerings and creativity coaching. Tune in Tuesdays for our next episode. And remember, with creativity, anything's possible.